Hi, so I'm here today talking to Waleed Shah, photographer, body image extraordinaire. I'll let you explain that later on as we go along. So, Waleed, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Check this out. Strong.
Where and what is your sweat equity? What measures are you prepared to invest in yourself? Because that's what it is, folks. A higher quality of life and improvements in your quality of life and your health are an investment. Newsflash, everybody, you're always on a diet. I want you to view this as mental fitness.
As we all know, aesthetics are not health.
If we're absolutely honest, anyone that embarks on a diet is looking to reduce their body fat, not their weight. Weight is just mass. I can take 5 kilos off you with a chainsaw. You won't be any healthier, but you'll have reached your goal.
Cool. My name's Waleed Shah. Thanks for having me, man.
No problem.
I identify as a photographer. I
love it. Identify as a photographer.
I do a lot of things, but like I identify as a photographer, and there's like two sides of me that always kind of need to be mentioned because they're very separate, but they feed into each other. Mm-hmm. And one is the commercial side where I shoot for brands and cars, and I sell you shiny things and all these luxury items and sometimes everyday items and stuff like that. But the other side, which really reflects my personality and my opinions, is this artist side where I talk about issues that that really touch on like society and things that bother me about society. And I think sort of the major one, the main one that is on everybody's mind now is Rock Your Ugly, right. Which is a very very body image, insecurities, mental health set of stories that help you see that whatever you're going through, somebody else out there is going through as well, sure. And you can relate to and sort of normalize that conversation.
Cool. Okay, that's probably one of the best introductions I think I've ever heard.
Cool, awesome.
Cool, thank you very much. All right, so as I said to you before we got started recording, you didn't always professionally work as a photographer. You were a chemical engineer at first, right?
Correct, yeah.
So what was the touch paper? What was the lighting of the fuse that got you to move from the one side of professions to the other?
Yeah, I mean the there wasn't like a defining line, and I speak about that a lot. Where when you look online with like motivational speakers and all that, they tell you follow your passion, follow your dream, quit the job and throw yourself into the deep end and stuff. I personally don't believe in that.
Yeah,
I believe in sort of, I mean, it's not for everybody. It's not like, it's not a wrong thing to do. I just don't believe in that for myself. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted, my dream has always been like this financial security where I'm able to do things comfortably. So it was a very, very slow and long transition from the engineering world into the arts world. Where I graduated in 08 from university. I started working in 09 in the oil field. Mm-hmm. 2013 I started a recording studio with some buddies.
Okay.
And but I kept my day job. I still was an engineer. And through that recording studio experience, I learned photography. I was shooting the artists coming in.
Right, yeah.
They started to like the photos. They started to hire me to shoot photos and concerts and events, and it sort of grew from there. 2016, the company we started, to be honest, got too successful for us to keep our day jobs, which was a great problem to have. But unfortunately, we collectively decided that we wanted to keep our day jobs.
Sure.
It's not something we wanted to pursue. Everybody had like a nice, cushy career. So we shut that down, but I decided to keep shooting under my own name now, while again still keeping my day job. 2017, 2018, the oil price crashed. And I was let go along with 4,000 other people in my company.
Ouch.
And when I got that call, I was sitting with my wife, and when I put the phone down, I was relieved to have been let go, because I'd been thinking about it for like a long time, for like a couple of years. I'm like, man, this photography thing's really picking up. But the money in the oil field was too good. And I just didn't want to, cut that off. So when that happened, they gave us a nice severance package, and that served as my cushion to pursue photography full time and build that up to where it is now. So it was a slow and sort of almost calculated transition. And I really believe in that. And I'm probably almost at this point right now to transition into something else, to start that transition into something else. I don't know what that thing is. I'm very interested in the new world of crypto and metaverse and all that stuff. And I'm at that sort of crossroads where I want to start to build my knowledge in that while still doing photography. And maybe in 5 years move into else.
Cool. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I was reading earlier today that someone a couple of years back had bought just under $5,000 of Bitcoin or whatever, and it's now worth several billion.
Yeah.
So go for it. That seems to be the way to go.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So we're I think today we're at this crossroads of a shift in reality.
Yes.
And if you get in on the ground floor, you're golden.
It certainly seems to be. I mean, I know a few years ago when it was first voiced as, this idea that it's a currency that has no physical, there's no hard copy, there's no actual something you can touch.
Yeah.
But then again, if you take away the idea of physical money now between credit cards and bank transactions, that's no great change from the norm.
Yeah.
All we're doing is you're finding a limited resource, which is your digital currency, which you then give a value to.
Yeah.
So I can certainly see that.
Yeah, I think the hard pill to swallow was that it's not a government currency.
Yes.
That's the hard pill to swallow. And I think I heard of crypto 5 or 6 years ago, and I sort of brushed it off.
Yeah.
But now that it's a thing and it's going to be a thing, I've kind of programmed my mind to believe in whatever the next thing is that I don't understand.
Yeah. Look at that and go,
exactly.
Hey, in a few years,
exactly. So I want to understand more about that.
Okay, cool. I mean, I get you on that one. If I have the spare cash, I think that's where I'll be looking as well.
Yeah.
All right. So looking back over your previous interviews, as I did prior to this podcast, because I'd like to know about who I'm going to be talking to, you said that your two favorite subjects are, when it comes to commercial, it's cars and that kind of stuff, that genre, and it's people and stories when it comes to your personal preference.
Yeah.
If you had a bucket list gig that came along, what would that look like? What's going to be like? This is going to be, like you say, if you think about moving to another career anyway.
Yeah.
If between this point now in time and that transition, you go, right, my ultimate gig is, I'm going to be the one photographer used for Netflix when they go and do the next season of Drive to Survive, Formula One, and I'll be full access to the. What would that be when it comes to personal or professional?
I think I struggle to visualize that for some reason because I do so many things at the same time that it's hard to kind of disconnect and think. But there's sometimes the photographers that I aspire to be like or draw inspiration from. A photographer called Platon, for example. He does these portraits of world leaders and huge significant figures, not celebrities, but leaders, and regardless of his political views, I love that he's like detached from the political views. So he's got a portrait of like Obama and Trump and Gaddafi and Putin. It's
so be those historical figures.
Those historical figures, exactly. So I'd love to be that guy.
Right. Okay.
And you have with these portraits, and I've been in that situation before where I've shot major celebrities. You usually get like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You get really quickly. So you have to really know your stuff. You have to really imagine it. But in those 3 minutes, because at this point of his career, he's a very established photographer. In those 3 minutes, he's able to bring out something that nobody else can bring out.
Right. Okay.
And I'd love to be that guy. He'll go off to Africa and do stuff with tribes there and bring out a story. And I'd love to be that guy where I'm bringing stories from places that you care about, that the community cares about, and tell these stories and show how we are all the same and we want the same things in life, and have that very signature style, which I think people tell me I kind of have, but like a signature style that works with both these stories and the world leader type figures, and it all kind of connects. Where you see that the big powerful world leaders in the same style as the poor impoverished villages in a random country, and it kind of connects. You know.
That leads absolutely into something else I was going to ask you, because I know, so we said again before I started recording, I found you because of projects you've done in the past, and then a friend of mine has worked with you for her own works. Alex, this is a lady who owns a company called House of Social. It's a very, very good business. I encourage you all to find it if you're listening out there. I think you do have a style, because I know, depending on what I see on social media, I know you've taken it.
Cool.
Whether it's the magazine styling you have for Mawjood, or it's the other stuff you do, I know that I can look at it and go, that's Waleed's photographs.
Yeah.
Especially when I saw Alex's. That's why straight away I was like, I know that style, but who is the guy?
Who's the guy? Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that before. Absolutely. I've seen a bunch of people do it.
Because this is, I mean, in her photographs, it was a case of, if not that you probably haven't at this point, but if you look at my social media and my website and all that kind of stuff, I make a point of never being photographed in anything stereotypical for a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Because it's also posed and passe at this point. Everything's the same, right? Yeah. Everyone's got a picture of themselves at the bottom of a press up smiling, or in a squat rack, or doing a bicep curl. You will never find pictures of me doing that anywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas Alex, working in media and social media and all that, there are so many things that would have been typical for her.
Yes.
Sat looking at her phone, smiling, or with a coffee in front of a laptop. The pictures that you took, none of that was there. It was completely your styling.
Yeah, I'm very big on no props. Like if you're, especially like the biggest example is musicians.
Right.
A musician comes in, brings all his guitars or his keyboards or his I'm like, put that aside. Man. Yeah. Let's show you as a person, right? I'll give you some stuff for press that you have your guitar or whatever, but like as a person, let's get a portrait of you.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm glad and I'm proud to have that distinct style that people can tell. It's been like a dream of mine to achieve that, and thankfully that's happened.
Yeah, very clearly. Like, okay, I know who's taking those pictures.
Yeah.
I recognize that styling, that sort of like lighting and everything else. It's very clearly you.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with you. It's something you should be proud of.
Yeah.
Because if nothing else, your work does speak for itself.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think for most professionals, especially when you're self-employed, that's what you want. That's how you differentiate yourself. If someone Googles something, a brand or a genre of skill set they're after, how do you stand out from that without having a video going, hire me, I want your business. It's like, no, see what you like. That's me. That's who I am. Now come and work with me.
Yeah.
So no, that's definitely you. A large part of the reason I want to speak to you, apart from talk about your work and what makes you tick, because I find you an interesting guy, is you seem to have a sort of unique aspect of wanting people to be seen for who they are, rather than a media stereotype, or, as you said, someone who just surrounds themselves in a photograph with what they do professionally, not the props. It's about the person.
Yes.
Right? And one of those projects is Rock Your Ugly, which is an international book. And I'm going to quote you from your own website here.
Okay.
Which is, in terms of the work, it's a middle finger to toxic beauty standards, exploring intersection between physical and mental health through portraits and stories. Now, I know what that's about because I've looked into it, and I really like the photographs and the concept. Where did that come from in terms of a mindset for you to then make it something you put into the world as a product?
Yeah.
Because that must have been a thing where you thought, I like this and my subjects like it, but is there an audience for it?
Yeah. So a lot of my work I do for me.
Right.
It's something that bothers me in the world.
Sure.
And I think I remember the first time that process happened. It was a very, very small thing that I did. There was this. I was at a pool party,
right,
and there was this woman that was very uncomfortable in her bikini and decided to go into the pool with some clothing on top of her bikini, and she was very uncomfortable.
Okay. Yeah.
And the security guard just went berserk on her, like, get out of the pool, and made a scene, and she was like even more uncomfortable because everybody was looking at her.
Now she's the focus of attention.
So that really bothered me.
Right.
That happened, and I did this little video and some images of like an Emirati woman in full Emirati getup jumping into the pool with like a voiceover saying that I don't tell me what to wear, I wear whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
And that was the start of that process where I'll find something or I'll be bothered about something in society or in the world, and I'll create something out of that feeling.
Right.
So, fast forward to, a few different projects happened after that, but then Rock Your Ugly was something where I was really deeply feeling about myself.
Right.
So I used to be a bodybuilder. I used to be the big guy,
Sure.
lifting weights, bicep curls in the mirror, all that stuff. And I hurt my back. I had a herniated disc.
Right. Okay.
So 10 years later, I had lost all the muscle. I had a pot belly. I was really unhappy with my body. And,
Right.
I woke up one morning on my birthday and I took a self-portrait holding my belly. And I put it out into the Instagram world saying, look, yes, everybody's got their New Year's resolutions and everybody's going to the gym and losing weight. I feel like this, this is what happened to me. I was a sportsman before and I can't do it anymore. And honestly, I don't feel like I can do anything about it this year. So I'm just saying, check back in next year.
Yeah.
And I just did this for me. And it really resonated with a lot of people. I got the messages and the DMs back saying, hey, we feel the same way. Thank you for sharing that. So I just made a little note in my phone just to say, go back and explore everybody else's body insecurities.
Sure.
And I left that for a couple of years. Fast forward a couple of years, my best friend passes away.
Right.
And I'm in this, like, my brain did something with the grief that I hadn't experienced before.
Right. Yeah.
So that's when I experienced the whole, like, mental health aspect of life. I'd been okay. I had a great childhood. I had no issues that I was dealing with in my head. That was the first time that happened to me. I didn't know what to do.
Sure.
So just, advice from people saying, just put yourself in work and, get your mind off it. So I just picked a random project up my phone. And it just happened to be that one. It wasn't called Rock Your Ugly at the time.
Right.
It was just called Explore People's Stuff, So I started to talk to people and photograph them and talk about, whatever they're insecure about on their bodies. But that conversation quickly turned into a much deeper exploration of what happened to them in their childhood, if they've gone through abuse,
Sure.
the bullying, it turned into, we talked about things like eating disorders and self-harm and attempted suicide and, all that stuff. And it just turned into something much, much deeper. And it helped me deal with my grief as well, because when somebody's, like unloading all this energy on you, you're now open to unload your energy on them. And it really helped me out with my own grief.
Okay.
So, I started putting this work out slowly. I didn't think about it as a book. I just thought about it as a series of posts.
Right. Okay.
And I had recorded our interviews. And then I started to transcribe them and make longer posts on my website because they didn't fit on Instagram. So, I then I had like about 55 stories, and I had dealt with my own grief through that process. And then COVID hit, and I'm like, hey man, this was cool when I was putting it out. Maybe I should put this into a book.
Sure.
And that's what I did. I honestly just, transcribed all the interviews, copy and pasted, sent it to a few publishers. Somebody picked it up, the Dreamworks Collective. They were awesome. And we put the book out.
Cool. Were you surprised by the reception of it? Because like you said, on social media, to put out a post or a photograph, that's one thing. And if you, in its own right, it has its own legs. And your popularity in what you do anyway. But were you surprised that it grew beyond just that?
Yeah, totally. When you put workout, when I put workout, I usually put it out for myself, and then it resonates with some. So I get a backlash sometimes.
Yeah.
With this one, with Rock Your Ugly, I got very minimal backlash, and I got a ton of people wanting to be a part of this.
Right. Okay.
And how liberating it was for people. I was really surprised about the feedback. I was expecting a lot of negative feedback because you're putting people's very, very private thoughts and experiences out in the world with graphic visuals, with a lot of skin, with a lot of things you kind of I always say that the cover of the book, it's a woman called Luce. She's a breast cancer survivor, and it's one of those images where when I have it in an exhibition, I love to watch people look at it,
Watch their reaction.
exactly, because it's like they look at it and they look away immediately because I feel like they don't want to be judged for looking at it too long.
Yes.
But then they'll come back and when people aren't looking, they'll come back and stare even more. And I just found that fascinating, where like I created something that touches people on this deeper level, that they're afraid to be seen looking at it. That fascinated me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very surprising.
Yeah. I mean, I've not had experience for that particular instance in the way that you would say, by putting a work out there to anticipate that response. But I spent 9 years in the military, and the latter part of my career, I had reason to be in a military hospital going through recovery for a few injuries that I'd had. And of a different situation, but friends of mine that I'd made there that had suffered injuries just in the UK during normal exercises and military life, but also on operations, that had significant injuries that may have got wounds, or maybe they'd lost a limb or whatever else. And they would tell me that depending on what's visible, like you said, people want to see what's wrong, essentially.
Yeah.
But there's a sense of immediate, I shouldn't look.
Yes.
It's bad. I feel guilty for doing it. One of my friends had significant injuries. He'd been shot through the shoulder, which meant he'd lost a lot of the muscle mass.
Yeah.
But for him, it's not. That was a year ago. He's still living with the idea of recovery. But of course, if he wears a short sleeve T-shirt, it's very clear that most of his shoulder's not there. Yeah. So people ask questions. Someone else I knew who'd lost a leg. Yeah. Was like, he'd seen people that now it's not so uncommon, unfortunately. Yeah. But at the time, it was like, if I go out and I forget to roll down my tracksuit trousers, I've got a fake leg below the knee. Yeah. So young children will ask me, like, "Hey, Mister, what's happened to your leg?" Or they'll go, "Mummy, he's got he's a robot," or whatever else. And he's saying some parents will hush their child up. And move them along quickly. Go, no, you don't ask questions. You don't talk. You don't look. And of course, the child doesn't know the parents' reason for saying that. So straight away they're looking at, but he's got, they want to know why. Yeah. Whereas there'll be adults, and I was quite surprised, but there was apparently some people act quite aggressively to disfigurement or injury, because not only do they know they shouldn't see it, they don't want to see it. Yeah. It's like, you remind me of something less than perfect, or damaged or unhealthy. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to be confronted by it. Yeah. That's why I think your work in a gallery must be really impactful. Yeah. Because of what it is you portray. People that they say are the most vulnerable going, here I am. Yeah. And I'm not ashamed to have a photograph taken because of it. Yeah. That's certainly in today's media obsessed world, it seems to be a rare vulnerability rather than someone's common confidence. Are you looking to make some changes to your quality of life? Perhaps you're looking to embrace a whole new approach to exercise, nutrition, and a healthier lifestyle, but you're just not sure how to even get started. Without a basic framework in place and some goals set, you're going to struggle, and that is the most common reason why a lot of people experience a load of stress and ultimately don't succeed in their endeavours. They just don't have a clear path to get them started and follow on with. That's why I wrote Pathway to Health, Be Your Own Life Coach. This is a program that takes you through your lifestyle approaches to nutrition, exercise, and activities, shows you how to take stock of your life as it is right now, plan things out, and get started on your unique personal pathway to health. You can find this course on my website, www.thebodyengineer.training, in the online store. The program comes with video guides throughout and all the downloadable planners you need to become your own life coach. Listeners to this podcast can get a 20% discount with the discount code POD20.
Yeah. I think that the world and the media is sort of catching up to that. Yeah. Now, so yeah, they're catching up to that. So when I put out this work, there was a flood of media attention. Sure. And now there's not just the funny thing is, like maybe 20 years ago, you used to get your entertainment or whatever is hip and new from mainstream media. Sure. Yeah. Now mainstream media is on the back foot. Yeah, they're just catching up with what's hip now. So at this moment now, the mainstream stuff is just catching up to this movement of normalizing vulnerability and regular bodies and mental health. This conversation started maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And these guys are just catching up. So it's people like you and me and artists on platforms that aren't mainstream that start these conversations.
Yeah.
And when they become cool and hip with more eyeballs, then mainstream media are like, oh, this is cool content. People want to see this.
There's an audience now.
Let's tap into that, and they start making TV shows and programs with lights and makeup and around that content.
Sure.
But now it's already old news.
Unfortunately, that's true. It seems to have gone not everywhere, but in some aspects, like reality television, like. The original concept of bringing this to the public was X, the reality of it.
Yeah.
But to keep the audience, it's like, how do we make this a little bit more extreme?
Palatable.
Exactly, yeah. How do we get the next season to get the same audience?
Yes.
Like, we've got to tweak it a little bit. We've got to make it somehow like increase the sense of victimhood or just something.
Yes,
rather than maintain the original integrity of the project.
Put some music behind it.
Exactly. How do we make it an elimination show or something like that?
Exactly. Exactly.
It becomes quite disingenuous.
Unfortunately.
Which you say is very much unfortunately. I said to you before that I see so much of that in the fitness industry and the health industry. I mean, I don't so much, it sounds daft to say hide away from it, but because I'm starting to get back into a bit more of a public forum as a person and a brand now, I do say what I do for a living. But probably for the last 7 or 8 years, I wouldn't even call myself a personal trainer. Not because I'm not properly qualified with a lot of experience, I am, but the expectation from anybody that you bumped into as to your intellect, your personal values, and how you would relate to another person, I found to be pretty unpleasant. Because the idea of, I'm a big guy by nature. If I never exercised, I'm still 6'4" and a very large man. So I can't change that. I'm not some muscle-bound 14-hour-a-day type. But to go, I'm a personal trainer, I work with rehabilitation, they go, right, okay, we don't really give you a great deal of credit in terms of professional intelligence, but also you must have such prejudice to my body type or my life experience.
Interesting.
Okay. If you meet someone who's a little bit overweight or they don't look like they exercise very much, they would judge you on their own self-image.
Yes,
and
correct.
You typically you hear the old joke about a doctor never says he's a doctor. He doesn't want you to go, oh, I've got this wrong. Could you look at my rash on my arm? I'm not going to say that. And I wouldn't say, oh, I'm a personal trainer, because people would go, oh, you're going to comment if I'm eating something right in front of you, or if you see me drinking this, or my children are nearby and they've got an ice cream. I'm not that person. But the perception of personal values and expectation was such that I was like, when I met my wife, I was like, I can't not tell you what I do for a living. But at the same time, is this going to be date number one, the only date? Because you're going to go, I kind of like you, but I think you're going to be this person. And fortunately, she hung around to find out I wasn't. But that it's like you say, the whole idea of what people think they should be versus who they are. Media, I think, holds far too much sway now, because everybody's got mass communication in their pocket all of the time. So you have that, when we were talking earlier, when you Google or when you type in the hashtag personal trainer, you see a flood of images of and they all look the same. Absolutely. So you already have that perception of personal trainer has to look ripped. If you're a guy, you're ripped. If you're a woman, you're sexy, you're hot. You've got that you're saying that side pose with the small pose where you barely see a waist. Exactly. So you've already got that perception that's built for you by everybody else, by the flood of hashtags. Absolutely. And you almost can't get away from that. No, not at all. I mean, I interviewed a potential client last week because I like to meet all would-be clients in person, because you can only get so much information via a text message or an email. People will talk to another person, but they won't necessarily put their honest feelings in an email, because that in itself is a little bit of vulnerability. Here's what I genuinely think about myself to a stranger. Whereas they sit down and talk to you, they go, in a few minutes, okay, I either trust you or I don't, and if I trust you, I'll now talk to you. And she was someone with a very unique life story, because everyone is, but also in a woman who's in her late 40s is very, very common in terms of, I'm this age, I'm married, I've had my children, I would like to be healthier and fitter for myself. However, here's my expectations of where I think I can get to and what I think I have to do to achieve it.
Yeah.
I've got to beat myself up on a treadmill 6 hours a day, 7 days a week. I've got to starve myself. And it's like, I don't want to do all those things, but please tell me there's another way.
Yeah.
Because she already had these predisposed ideas to life now has to be miserable for me to be healthy.
Yeah.
Because I see it everywhere, I hear it everywhere. You must live like this, buy these products, live this way.
Yeah.
And I was saying to her, no, not at all. It's not that to be healthy. For a start, you're 47 years old. What if you live another 30 years, 40 years? You're not going to be miserable for the next 4 decades. So straight away, we need to find a regime that works for you.
Yeah. Well, and that works for the next 40 years.
Yeah, exactly. She goes, well, I don't want to give up my old glass of wine with my friend who lives in the next apartment when our husbands are out playing golf with you. I was like, well, don't.
Yeah.
But she said straight away, no one else has ever said that to her before.
Do you watch Seinfeld at all?
Sometimes. Yeah. Okay. My wife's a big fan. I touch on it now and again.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. There's this one joke he has where he's like, I don't get these people that work out all the time constantly. He's like, what are you working out for? Before, in the old days, you had to have the big fit body to run away from the lion.
Absolutely.
And to go and hunt and carry and all that stuff. But like right now, we have cars and we live in apartments and stuff. So like really what you're doing is you're going to the gym to work out, to get fit, to complete the workout.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you achieving here?
What are you doing with the fitness?
Yeah.
So like, you don't have an intrinsic goal beyond, I need to do this.
Yeah.
But I don't know
why. Yeah, like why are you doing this?
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, that's what the fitness industry survives on every January.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's January. You need to be buying my books and my supplements and my programs just because it was 12 months since the last time you bought something. It's like, it doesn't. You may not need it, but the cycle.
So
continues.
so being healthy just for the sake of being healthy is the way to go. Like being healthy for your current lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Like if you're an athlete, if that's your lifestyle and your livelihood, yes, you need to run faster to be in NFL. You need to jump higher if you're a basketball player.
Sure.
Yes, like I get that, but if that's not your career, you don't need that. You just need to be healthier, to live a healthier lifestyle, to have your better blood pressure, to eat better, to live longer and enjoy life.
No back pain, the ability to play with your children or your grandchildren. I probably had less than half a dozen clients in the last 5 years that are under 30.
Yeah,
because it tends to be something that, as people get older, they realize, if they've never been previously active, it's like, I need to be healthier for my longevity.
Yeah.
Because I've got a bit of a back niggle now, and I'm worried that in a few years, I will be living a life where I've got permanent back pain, or I've got a problem, or I'm always seeing a doctor,
Yeah.
And like you said, blood pressure and all the kind of things that you go, I want this to be something I have to deal with as far away into my future as
exactly.
possible.
Yeah.
I don't want to be going, I've got just come to get my next prescription at 40.
Yeah.
And like, again, you got 4 decades of this.
Yeah.
You should be strong. You want your bone density to be great as long as possible. You want your heart to be strong.
Yeah.
And all this. You want me to walk around in your retirement and be happy.
Yeah.
But it's about the short-term realization, I think, of reality is something that gets a little bit lost in Instagram filters and what's the current fad being sold on the internet.
Yeah.
But that's unfortunately the world we're in at the moment. So moving from that, because we've both talked about this, these topics of body image and personality and vulnerability from different angles, what do you think would be needed, let's say normal mass media, or we could always say legacy media, the stuff that's always been there, is starting to catch up. What do you think needs to happen to see a bigger shift? If we can, is there something that can happen?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't have an answer for that. I sort of confine myself to my circle of influence.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to be.
And I don't have yes, I have my circle of control, which is me.
Sure.
And I have my circle of influence, which is me and my family and my friends and whoever follows me online.
Sure.
But beyond that, it's sort of out of my zone, out of my control and influence, and it's just a circle of concern.
Yeah.
And I think I personally can live outside of that. I mean, outside of that circle of concern, because I can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
So I think if maybe everybody, it's like the 6 degrees of separation,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So if your circle of influence has one person that maybe thinks the same way and start to talk about things in the same way you talk about it, then their circle of influence can be influenced.
Sure.
And it just kind of grows from that. But I don't think it's it's going to be like a mass media that needs to change for this to change, because I think we talked about this before, where at this day the mass media is so behind the actual conversation that it's honestly almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't be saying this, but what the hell? Like when sort of the bigger programs, the TV shows or radio stations contact me to talk about something, the conversation has already started and finished, and you guys are behind. Like nobody's watching TV anymore, man. I don't even have cable. I don't have cable at home. I don't watch TV, and I think a lot of this generation is very like on demand, entertainment, Netflix, whatever. So I don't think you need the mass media anymore.
Right.
You don't need that.
Yeah.
So just it's between you and your circle of friends and your society, your immediate society, and have these opinions and talk about these opinions and change minds and live your truth.
I suppose it's the hope that the intelligent influences become the larger influences.
Yeah.
Because when you look at like the mainstream media, essentially that's financially reliant media. The message they deliver will be the one that makes the most money. That's why they're going to be slow to change.
Yeah.
Whereas the smaller people, the podcasts, the people with the genuine presence in any kind of field are the ones that deliver the best message.
Yeah.
It's a case of eat like this, or be true to yourself in that regard, or be the highest quality professional you can be. That's what people should be listening to.
Yeah.
That's the best approach going forward. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's pretty much a solid attitude to have.
Yeah.
One of your other projects then is, I hope I pronounced this correctly. I know what it stands for, but I'm pretty sure, even though I lived in Saudi for a bit and I was trying to verse myself with Arabic more than I do now. Mawjood?
Yes. Mawjood,
right?
yeah.
Mawjood, yes.
Mawjood, yeah.
Mawjood.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I've researched this, but could you please elaborate for us what that was and what it's entailed?
Yeah. So the word means I'm here, I exist.
Right. Okay.
Right? But that underlying message in sort of slang, or at least the way me and my friends use it, and the region we're in use it, is I'm available.
Right. Okay.
So I'm available means, what do you need? Hire me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that project started like mid lockdown, like when we were all locked in and everybody got fired. Creatives didn't have work, and I was also like in a sort of anxiety panic mode about the future.
Yeah, I know that.
Like what am I gonna do?
Sure. Yeah.
So I thought to myself, well, if I'm not a single entity. I'm part of this collective of creatives in an economy.
Sure.
So I can't just think about myself. I got to think about like the whole economy as a whole. So how do I help in lifting this economy for money to start exchanging hands again and go back to life? So we were having a lot of phone calls during lockdown, just because you can't meet anybody.
Yeah. So
whenever somebody would talk to me and be like, "Hey Waleed, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, wallah, mawjood. I'm here. I'm here. I exist. I'm available." So when I decided to do that, I sort of mocked up an image to sort of explain to people what I'm trying to do before I get people in. And then while I was mocking it up, my buddy Diya called me and he's like, "Yo man, how you doing, Waleed? How you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm mawjood, man. I'm just working on this thing." I'm like, "Wait, hold on. Let me call you back." I hung up the phone. I'm like, "Mawjood, that's the word.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that one." So it started from there, and I did this thing where it's you pay what you feel.
Right. Okay.
The whole idea was, if you don't have work, doesn't mean you don't have money, right? So but the opposite can be true. You could not have money either.
Yes.
So whatever you've got, if you've got money, please contribute.
Yeah.
If you don't have money, then it's all good. Don't pay me anything. And that sort of collectively helps the whole community to stand up on its feet again, because what I was doing was interviewing creatives to showcase what they're capable of.
Right.
So when life gets back, this is sort of like a directory that you can hire a photographer, an illustrator, a fashion stylist, an editor, whatever it is. You can go through my page and be like, oh, this person does this. Let me call them. Sure. And when you have these images on social, the whole aesthetic of the image feels like this is the hero of a magazine cover. Yeah. Obviously, it was a fake magazine. There's no content in the magazine. There's no actual magazine. It's just you just get people to think that this person is really important and really good at what they do. That's worth calling them and hiring them.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that was again one of the I like looking through it, because you were helping someone be more than they might be by themselves.
Yeah.
Yes. The essence of that, as I read through it, I watched a video of you being interviewed about it. It was a case of like you said, freelancers that may be out of work, and those people that maybe didn't have another way to lift themselves up in terms of self-promotion. It was like, okay, no, let's work on that. Let's give you the spotlight.
Yeah.
Just because you're you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really refreshing.
Yeah.
Because normally there's got to be okay, I'll do this project, but I want to be paid X.
Yeah.
And that sets the terms for how much the photographer or the artist puts into the work.
Exactly.
You did it the exact opposite way.
The exact opposite. And not just that, like a lot of people ask me, how do you select your people for Mawjood? I don't.
Right. Okay.
It's a link online. You book.
Yeah.
I don't even know who's showing up until they show up. I don't have a name. I don't have an Instagram account. I don't know anything.
Right.
You just show up.
Yeah.
And I have no idea who you are. And we talk and we create something about you.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, just that alone sounds so very opposite to what you'd expect, even from my own experience working when I used to do some consulting with magazines and write for them, and everything has to be so worked out to the smallest detail. Like, you're going to look like this because we want you to look like this image, and you're going to hold this prop, and you're going to have this lighting and everything else, which it's almost sterile, because that's what they want as a picture. Yeah. You're not getting anything of value other than
exactly. They've already made up their minds of who you are before you showed up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and that's absolutely true. We'd all like to be a bit healthier, but sometimes it's just hard getting the right ingredients in or knowing what meals to make in the time frame that you've got. So I put together 4 unique books available on my website right now that can help you make all those decisions, have the best nutritional start to your day, and start to make some real impact in improving your quality of life. Okay, so if you go to my website, www.thebodyengineer.training, and go to the online store, there are 4 books there for you right now. There is the 52 high protein recipes, quick and easy 5 ingredient recipes. That's a fantastic good starter book if you're trying to improve your meals. Your go-to vegan recipe book, and the keto guide. Okay, all available for $14.99. Listeners to this podcast get a discount if you use the code POD20. So you said in something another interview that struck me, that there was a point where you found it quite annoying, where you had, or maybe annoying is the wrong word, but the idea that you had amateurs coming into a field where you'd worked hard.
Really?
Maybe annoyed was the wrong word, but it was the idea that you had people coming into the field who you were like, hang on, I've worked for a long time to build up my skill set, and you're now coming in with modern cameras and everything else. But you said you've gone past that now, and you've got to a point where you're like, okay, you're coming into a field I work in. Let's have a conversation and talk about what you want to achieve and where we're going from. Because you're a Fuji X photographer, which is quite a prestigious role to have. It's a brand-related, title. It's like, okay, we want you to represent us in what you do. Do you think that's improving, that relationship, people coming into imagery and photography and stuff?
To be honest with you, I don't remember when I said that, but I do remember what I did about it.
Right. Okay.
I think I think what I started doing was teaching a course called the Business of Photography.
Right.
I'm like, all right, there's a lot of people coming into the space, and you know, they kind of don't really know what they're doing business wise.
Right. Okay.
So you know, the art side of it is cool, but the business side of it is where you start to come into to contact with I don't know how to say this, but like with like the older people that have been doing this for a while that
Right,
might
yeah.
affect their livelihood, right? So I started to try to educate the business side of photography.
Right. Okay.
And I felt like the creatives that are coming up, 18 something, 20 something, 25, 22, where they didn't have the experience of like the regular corporate, how the world works,
yeah.
how money flows in the world.
So they could do the art, but they
Exactly.
couldn't do the business.
Exactly, and they they didn't know how to make money out of it. So
Sure.
instead of making money the right way, they just decide, okay, let's slash prices,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll get the job.
Sure.
And that just hurt everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so there was a big movement that way, and I'm like, you know what, let me try to educate and show people how to price themselves. So I started doing these courses, but I realized I can only touch a few people at a time with these courses. So then
Right,
I
yeah.
put out a video of how to price yourself, and you can find that on my IGTV just now.
Sure.
And I kind of break it down of how do you price yourself, how much do you want to make per year, and then you divide that by how much you have to buy in gear and
Yeah.
and copyright issues and how all that and the laws, and so trying to educate the newcomers that don't have that world experience of I was fortunate enough to have that because of the engineering job and oil, and so when I come in and talk to a client about 10,000, 20,000, 200,000 dirhams,
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with those numbers because in my old job I was talking to VPs and SVPs about like 60 million and 100 million
Yeah,
dirhams, and I'm having those normal conversations with these numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm very comfortable with these numbers, in the photography world.
Sure.
So, and I think, when you're a regular person or a younger person that didn't have exposure to dealing with these numbers, they might be, too big for you to handle or have the conversation with.
Yeah. Or at least very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and I certainly get why that would be the case. I mean, we see it a lot in my field as well. I mean, I was only reading last week an interview in the press with a very, very well established figure in personal training and fitness in the UK, and he was saying that he has occasion to go back to the town he grew up in because his family's there.
Yeah.
And he said, I know there are personal trainers charging slightly less than I was charging 25 years ago.
Yeah.
He said, never mind inflation and growth and expansion. He said, they are charging less per hour than I did 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It was like, if we compare the two, it was like, I charged 1250% more than I did that because my skill set's growing and everything else. He said, but no one's helping the younger generation and those with emerging skill sets go, right, like you said, price yourself, recognize your worth to not only me as your employer, but yourself in terms of your skill set. Because how are you ever going to upgrade your skill set, enroll in more education, when you go, okay, I'll race to the bottom, like you said. I'm going to get everyone else in my region to get the business. Like, well, congratulations, you're now doing 40 hours to make the same money as 20.
Yeah.
You have to have that sense of, like you said, okay, here's what I think I'm worth, and regardless of my ego, here's what I'm worth based on my experience and my skill set. But you took it upon yourself to educate people through, I'm sure, no one was pushing you to do it because they were paying you. You did it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But you got to also put a disclaimer. There's no selfless act, right? It's not a selfless act. It was a borderline selfish act because it was hurting my business. So
of course,
you know what I mean. So I'm like, okay, instead of sitting back, because you see these guys on the Facebook groups. There's a specific Facebook group, and here it's called UAE Media Freelancers.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it, but like
I haven't seen that one.
Every time someone posts a job, oh man, these people rip this guy to shreds about the pricing, and you guys are doing this, and it's complaining. I'm like, okay, let me do something about it.
Sure.
Instead of sitting and complaining about it. So yes, it was like I said, borderline selfish act, because I wanted the industry to elevate itself out of that. And when the industry elevates, I elevate as well.
Going forward then, any future projects or things that you've got lined up that you can talk about, because maybe you don't, or that you would like to steer into your sort of like into your world in the next 12 months?
Yeah, I think the wave of commercial versus personal work is always like up and down, right?
Sure.
And I think I'm coming off like a high wave of personal work and a low wave of commercial work. So now it's flipping.
Right.
So I'm kind of like putting the brakes on all the personal stuff. But what I'm really trying to do is to trickle down my personal sort of aesthetic and opinions into my commercial work. I've always been trying to do that.
Yeah.
But I think with a lot more intention now. So whatever brands I work with, I'll try to put a hard line on stuff like slimming down bodies, removing scars or cellulite or whatever marks on the bodies and retouching faces. I want to put a line on that to really show that regular bodies exist. You don't need this much makeup because your face is fine. This is what your real face looks like. I was even in interviews. So like I was on this show yesterday, and on a TV show. So everybody's putting their makeup on, even the men. And I refused, and I got like looks. I'm like, look, guys, like it doesn't make sense for me to put makeup on when I'm on the show talking about being, be accepting who you are and stuff like that. So they understood it, whereas 4 years ago, when I'd be asked to be on a TV show, the producer would be really pissed off at me about not putting some makeup on because it's their show and they want everything to look good.
Right.
But now it's changing.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that, and my clients are they hire me knowing that this is what I stand for. Sure. And they're open to sort of bending their guidelines to accommodate. And I just shot I can't talk about this too much, but I just shot a brand recently where it we decided no Photoshop.
Right. Okay.
No Photoshop. All real bodies. Everything stays. If it's my rule generally is if it's if you've got something, a mark or anything on your face or body that's not going to be there in a week, fine, we'll remove it. Like a pimple, you've got like you cut yourself or something, but anything else that's going to be there next week, we're leaving.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a genuine portrayal of who that person is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think then, because I mean, I know because again, representation of body types directly relates to what I do for a living. Do you think there's a bit too much of opportunistic, almost that phrase virtue signaling when it comes to fashion and body types? Because this sudden like, oh no, look, we've got different size, big Burj Khalifa size, inverted commas. We've got different shaped models. Like, but you're not doing that for the benefit of the people who might buy your product. You're doing that for, hey, look at us.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's seeping into a lot more of marketing these days.
It is, and it before the sort of body diversity conversation, there was the racial diversity conversation. So there's this whole thing about in the industry about tokenism, right, where you'll have the brand will have multiple models and one model will be black, but then you see behind the scenes the whole production is white.
Right. Yeah.
So it's it doesn't make sense. It's not you're not changing anything. And there was another conversation recently about all the Middle East versions of the international magazines. So like the Vogue Middle East, the Cosmopolitan Middle East, and all these versions of Middle East where they're portraying in the image. They'll have like one or two Arab people. But again, behind the scenes, everybody's white. There's not a single person on the decision making, culture making
is actually diverse.
Is actually diverse. Everybody's a white guy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that where the company itself, the brand itself from within, needs to sort of change as well, and that's happening now as well with the body inclusion thing. But it'll change eventually. It'll change. It starts with that.
Yeah.
It starts with that, and then it changes.
Yeah, no, I do absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the idea of you can't say you're diverse because the person you're diverse with is in front of a camera.
Yeah.
You actually have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to go, hey, guess what? We've got 14 different nationalities in our company. No, we do. Look.
Yeah.
Rather than going, no, the person that you've met as the representative of our brand on the executive level is not the same as everybody else.
Yes.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Like you say, that's tokenism.
Yeah.
That's what was it in? It was South Park.
Okay.
Where there's, and I never watched it in its heyday, but my wife's a fan, so it's one of those shows that she'll have on as like background noise if you sat here on the sofa working. And I genuinely stopped because I was literally walking through the living room and they were referring to their non-white friend as Token. That was his nickname.
Oh wow! Yeah,
I know South Park likes to push the boundaries anyway.
I love that.
They were like, hey, Token, how you doing? He was like, you don't have to call me that. There are more than one. I'm the only black kid in school. No, but you're the only one we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a direct play on, like you say, they were being sarcastic about the representation of diversity.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. But I remember South Park. They say what they want. They don't care.
Yeah, it's
they're
beautiful.
Sort of immune cancellation.
Yes.
They do their own thing.
It's great. It's great what you can achieve as a cartoon.
Yes.
As not a human being. There was a that show Black Mirror on Netflix.
Yes.
Yeah, I just watched this episode where the guy is a teddy bear. Like he's like this blue teddy bear that's just from a screen.
Sure.
But he was able to get away with so much political commentating power over the actual politicians
because he
wasn't a real person. So he was able to express like the people's opinions. It was cool.
Okay, I've not seen that one episode. I'll have to look at that. There was an episode way back, maybe in the first, second season of that, where it was this idea that humans were all working in this huge collective were working in this kind of like forced labor scenario.
Yeah.
And the only way out was to earn enough credits to potentially end up on this reality TV show.
Yeah.
That was like in the minds of everyone. It's the dream.
Yes.
Get in front of a camera.
Yeah.
And everything else. But of course, they knew what it was like in the reality to try and get, because they were living it.
Yeah.
Let me one day work to get the credits and the points to get before the panel of judges.
Yeah.
And then this guy eventually gets there through all the struggle, and then he sees it for what it is.
Yeah.
And once the cameras are off, he sees the misogyny and the sexism of the judges and the bias and everything else. He's like, all of that just so I can be in front of an audience, and I hope they see me in the way that I would like.
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic sort of simile of modern culture.
Our world.
Yeah. It's like, you're working yourself to death and grinding to really be seen as something that you're not in the first place. And I hope that people like you for what you're trying to present.
Yeah.
That's one episode that stuck with me for ages, because I thought, okay, that was really well, concisely figured out and written.
Yeah, and delivered.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it could have just fallen flat on its face. You've done a really bad job at that.
Yeah. No, it's a great show, especially like at this time. I didn't watch it when it was first coming out, but like I started to watch it recently, and just the analogies of how the real world is actually working. Because you gotta think about like sci-fi movies, like 20 years ago. Whatever was being shot and portrayed 20 years ago as sci-fi is normally happening now.
Yeah.
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 So when you watch all these things, like maybe 3-4 years later, it's so much closer to reality than when they had shot it. It's not unbelievable anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, I
see what you mean.
Yeah.
But I must admit, Black Mirror I do like, because it's very good for social commentary in a way that, like you say, they can portray it. Because you're going, but it's not real. I'm seeing it on Netflix.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, you're like, I am.
Yeah. It's real.
There was another episode that had I forget her name now, Ron Howard's daughter, the redhead who's in the new Jurassic Park films.
Okay.
And it was all about her fall from grace, because she was part of like the not the elite, but she was like a happy-go-lucky middle-class woman.
The one where she was going to the wedding.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Everyone's life is based on the social media, like
Exactly.
points.
Yeah.
And as she falls from grace, it's like, oh no, you're no longer valid here.
Yes.
You can't come to this place.
You can't buy a plane ticket.
Yeah.
You can't buy you can't rent a car.
Yeah, these people don't want to see you anymore.
Yeah,
because you're no longer valid.
based on the likes and based on the validation you get online, you know, and you know that this is what I understand. This is actually one of the things that's happening in China, right?
Yes,
so like
the social,
you know, the social
rating.
exact social rating. So you know, you've got these cameras with facial recognition, and like, you know, if you're down if you're a naughty boy and you do something, or you steal something, obviously it's not a social thing, but it's more of like a penal system for you know, if for crimes. So if you do like petty crimes or whatever, your rating goes down, and you can't access public services.
Yeah, it's if you listen to that concept just as an aside, you think, well, how bad could it be? Because if you're not breaking the law, it won't affect you. But of course, then who sets the rules?
Who sets the law?
Yeah, who says like, oh no, we're only after actual crime, and then, until you decide you're not, and you influence social control.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't like. I mean, you imagine if that was moved into a world, and I won't say the word a lot because it will get struck when this goes on iTunes and social media, but the recent events when it comes to public health.
Yes. Yeah, I understand.
You know, if something like that comes along, and all of a sudden, if other countries had that same structure, they go, okay, we're now going to use that to catch anybody who might leave their home, or be moving around outside of a control system that we want it to have. Yeah, that really quickly goes somewhere dark.
Yes. Very dark.
Yeah,
very dark. It almost happened, huh?
Yes.
It almost happened. And thankfully it dissipated. Like the apps were made.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
No,
like the apps were made.
We
and you had to download them.
Yeah. You know, download them, and you had to, here you had to get permission to be moving about at a certain time. Yeah. So people weren't moving about, you know, haphazardly. Yeah. But I will appreciate the fact that I don't have any children yet. Yeah. But in the near future, because we are thinking about a family, there'll be a point where what's happened in the last 18 months to 2 years is now going to be a part of modern history. Yeah. And children in 10 years are never going to believe you.
They won't believe you.
They won't believe you. So I'm going to go, hey, guess what? Wherever I'm living at the time, I go, right, well, in Dubai during this period of time, and show them like the drone footage when there's nothing on the streets. Yeah. There's no people walking around. There's no vehicles. Their landscape is empty. And it's a really surreal thing to see, because normally that's dystopian movie kind of territory.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
I forget the guy's name, and if I can find the pictures, I will send you email you a link. Yeah. There was someone who went around London. He must have got special permission from the police or whatever, but he was taking pictures of London deserted. Yeah. The tube station and all the monuments and the landmarks with no human beings around. And it's a surreal thing to see, because we associate public spaces with public.
Exactly.
To suddenly go, oh, guess what? This is like 24 with the film, whatever it was, everyone's got the plague or the zombies, like 24 hours where there's, or 28 days, that's it.
Yeah, 28 days.
28 days where there's just no one around.
I mean, can you imagine, like, in your mind what, for example, World War II or World War I looks like? I can't imagine that.
No, not at all.
Or the Holocaust.
Or we only see pictures.
You see pictures. Movies, like it you don't relate to that. You didn't live that, and even whoever did relate to that is probably not with us anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard to imagine. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to imagine what that world felt like. Yeah. Even if you weren't in the war, even if you were in Burkina Faso, that had nothing to do with it, but just like around at that time. You can't imagine what that feels like.
No, not at all.
You know.
So it's going to be
or like slavery in the U.S.
True. Yeah.
You can't imagine that. No, I can't imagine that.
No, because you got no point of reference. You go, right. Yeah. In our minds, we go, that couldn't happen, or because there's too many people would object to it, or you can't find a point of reference to go. Yeah. How is that a thing in this time? Like that must have happened way back in history. Actually, not so much. Yeah. I forget which comedian it was said it on a show I watched a couple of years ago. He goes, he was American. He goes, when you bear in mind people can live to be 80 or 90 years old, or even older. Mm-hmm. Picture this. He said, slavery happened 3 people ago. Yeah. And he said, now process that in your head. Not think about what was going on. Yeah. Think about the fact that your grandparents or your parents' grandparents' grandparent was a generation where that was still a thing. Yeah. And he said, that is when it gets scary.
Yeah.
You can picture it in that
And
context.
and how many people ago?
Yeah. Not like, oh yeah, if you say 100 years ago, whatever, you're like, no one knows what that is.
Yeah.
You can't get your head around that. Or
Yeah.
200 years ago. Yeah. 3 generations ago. You think, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that far away, departed as a point of human behavior.
You know, I remember, you know, while we're on that slavery racism subject, you know, I remember growing up and really I want to talk about my grandmother. I loved my grandmother, but as I grew older and, you know, I started to be aware of racism in general, I realized how racist my grandmother was.
Right. Okay.
Because she lived at that time where
Yeah.
racism was a normal thing.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah. Okay.
you know, so it's in my own family 3 people ago.
Sure.
That's exactly when it was.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I've had South African friends all my life because of where I've lived or the circles I've moved in, and it wasn't so many years ago. Obviously, previous because I'm married now to someone else, but I dated a South African girl, and she was saying, you know, she's not racist, no reason to be. She goes, but like you just said, her grandparents living in South Africa during apartheid.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much as they themselves were racist, but social values were different at a time where this is how we behave, and that's it. That's what we
the norm.
recognize.
Yeah.
And she said it's almost painful to go and visit family, and things come up in conversation, or there's a word said, or there's something behavior comes out. She's like, to me, that's abhorrent.
Yeah.
The notion that if that was even a thing that you could say or you behave towards someone else, but it's part of a learned behavior.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you know, to the 70, 80-year-old, it's like of that time, it's like, yeah, but back when I was 20, that was what we did.
That was what we did. That was normal.
Yeah. It was actually, and I know she said once with the grandparents, she's like, do you see how bad that was?
Yeah.
And they're like, we do. But when we were younger, we were born into that world.
Yes.
For us, that was just the way it was.
Yeah.
It's only this, it goes like, you know, when apartheid ended and all this kind of stuff, and like, okay, we realize now.
Yeah.
But the scars of all that run deep.
Yeah.
You know, that it's going to be a long time before that's a case of that was history of the past. Not, like you said, several people ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a point now where the world that we live in, when it comes to everything being, much as I hate the word, but everyone relates to it, knows what it means, woke.
Yeah, I hate that word.
I very much detest it because I think it's used to mask a multitude of prejudice now.
And divide people too.
It's not about inclusion anymore. It's very much the opposite. I mean, to my mind, if you're trying to make a collective inclusive of everybody, you don't put distinctions in place.
Yeah.
You don't define differences because that defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you
hate
don't,
that word.
You don't get rid of prejudice towards girls and education by separating girls and education. You go, right, girls and boys together get taught the same, treated the same, and they will grow up the same.
Yeah.
So when it comes to workplace behavior and racial like differences and all that, you go, no, everyone's the same, and you stop the conversation.
Yeah.
If you have to refer to something of the past, you say, previously we behaved like this.
Yeah.
But you don't go, we'll bring everything up to one level by bringing our own prejudice.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like it's a big thing in the British media now about how a lot of white people, men and women, have been pushed out of their mainstream media jobs to make way for the next generation of people for those roles.
Yeah.
But no one in those roles is white.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting my opinion on that in either way, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Of like the TV shows, all the hosts are changing.
Yeah.
The radio shows, all the hosts are changing. Not because they may be the best talent for the job, but it's under the name of woke and balancing the scales.
I love that you brought that up. I think you'd really enjoy. Have you heard of Jordan Peterson?
Yes. Yeah.
So he talks a lot about equality versus what was it? Not equity. No. So it's equality of opportunity versus outcome.
Yes, and I fully agree with that.
Yeah. So I think the general people in power understood the equality to be equality of outcome. So they're trying to fill a quota of let's have 50% women in everything. Let's have diversity in all the jobs. Let's have So he's like, well, in that case, should we try to fill up the jails with more women?
Yeah.
Should we no? Should we try to fill up the construction manual labor jobs with more women? It doesn't work like that. Should we try to fill up the nursing industry with more men? No, because men and women are different.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
their
absolutely.
their interests are different. So their skills will be different. So yeah, it's equality of opportunity. So if a man is a great nurse, or a woman is a great construction worker, fine,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
great. Like, have that equality of opportunity.
Yeah.
Hire them
You can have that job if you want
if
it.
you want it.
If you
But don't put a mandate.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then you're gonna get subpar skills just because you have that mandate.
It's funny you use that word, because if you think about what's going on to some degree in Europe now, but certainly in America, and it's aggressively so, the fact that certain medical procedures and covering your face, I'm dodging the things that will get me blocked on YouTube, there's almost, or there is an aggressive reaction to the idea of, no, you want to force us to do this rather than let's do it by choice.
Yes.
The whole idea of you must cover your face, you must do this, you must go and see that doctor to have this. You go, right. But that's the opposite way. It's like, if you're now forcing this, people don't want it.
Yeah.
But you give them the choice, it's a danger. Whereas you come into race and gender and equality of income, it's like, give people a choice, there's diversity because of choice.
Yeah.
You try and level that by making it a mandate, that's when it causes problems.
Yes.
It's like you said, a case of like, no, half the people in this job have to be this racial type, have to have this background genetically, have to do X, Y, and Z. But all that does is cause issues.
Yeah.
Let people get there by their own merit. I mean, I know Jordan Peterson said, was it Scandinavia or somewhere?
Yeah.
Scandinavia.
Sweden.
Sweden went out of their way to make sure opportunity wasn't the main factor. It was forced quotas or forced, like, women will do this with men, and it went the absolute opposite direction.
Way. Yeah.
It was right where like women would go, no, we very definitely want these careers.
Yes.
And men went very definitely, we want these careers.
Yeah.
And I've seen him use it in several interviews with people to very much succinctly put down their point of, we should have all this in place. It's like, it's been done.
It didn't
work.
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah. The thing I love about these conversations is that the data has already been out. Like, people have, like, governments have tried this.
Yes.
And it didn't work.
Yeah.
So stop trying it again, please.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I do the job I do now by choice. I was leaving the military. I spent a lot of time and money going through a third level education again.
Yeah.
And then I've kept up that degree of career development for the last 15 years because I want to do this job.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many niches you might have thought put someone in who served in the military for 10 years. Okay?
Yeah.
You can be a cop.
Yeah.
You can be a firefighter.
Yeah.
You can go and be
private security.
Yeah. Or if you haven't got the intellect or the ambition, you can go and be a supermarket security guard.
Yeah.
And that's you for the next until you retire.
Yeah.
But I didn't get forced in that direction.
Yeah.
People went, oh, you're a free thinking individual. You can do your own thing. But there's so much going on now with, like, forced diversity. I think is a colossal failed experiment that we're not going to know about how bad it's failed until later times.
Yeah.
Go, hey, guess what? Unlike that state in America, kids don't want to go into a gender neutral aisle to pick their toys.
Yeah.
The little girl might want a doll.
Yeah.
Because she's got a little brother, and that's the baby she can carry around because she can't carry him.
Yeah.
And the little boy might want a football because his dad plays football with him and he wants to replace the one he's got at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than going, no, we've got to paint everything yellow rather than pink and blue. Like, who does that benefit? It's not the kids.
Yeah.
It's the adults who want to be seen to own those stores and promote those policies.
Yeah.
Whereas, let kids be kids. But now you've got younger and younger children being told, right, think about this. And now we're going to tell you what part of history is relevant because we don't want you to learn about that anymore.
Yes.
Like, why not just open the book, learn what history is, rather than going, we're going to take these statues away because right now we don't like them.
Yeah.
And it's not everybody doesn't like them. It's not a regime that's being toppled. It's, you know what, this group of students at this university doesn't like that statue anymore. So we'll destroy it and take that part of our history away. All right, why not leave it up and go, the person who put that statue up wasn't a great guy all the time.
Perfectly agree with that. Like, yeah. I mean, going back to the sort of the gender issues. I don't know if you've seen recently Dave Chappelle had a show.
Yes,
Yeah.
and now it's all the backlash as a result. Yeah,
I love that last part.
Yeah,
That last part really hit me.
Yeah, I
where
watched that.
where he was talking about his friend that committed suicide.
Yes, yeah,
And
definitely.
Sorry?
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Yeah.
But where she said, like, it's not about male or female or trying to change. It's like, I just want you to see me as somebody that's going through a human experience.
Absolutely.
I am
yeah.
struggling
I
with something.
Really agreed with that. Yeah.
It's not like let's fight for gender equality and
Sure.
neutrality and he, she, her, they. It's not about that. Just see me as somebody that's going through a human experience. I am going through something.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm trying to come out of it.
Yeah.
Right. And he said that, and the second part that hit me is like, like we all know everybody that's born on this earth came out of a woman's vagina.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So it's like so you can't blur that line. It's fact.
Yeah.
So see everybody as a human being that's going through an experience.
I think in the current modern age,
Yeah.
that's something that's been forgotten. It's not a case of you're a human, I'm a human, and everyone you meet is, but their idiosyncrasies, their background, and their ambitions are all different.
Yeah.
There's a worrying sort of trend to go for the minorities with the angriest cause to go, no, I'm a human being, and my experiences and goals and ambitions and idiosyncrasies you need to adhere to.
Yeah.
It's like, but the very definition of you wanting free speech and choice and free living a life free of discrimination, you want to remove from everybody else.
Exactly, and that's actually going back to Jordan Peterson. That's one of his main things where he got a backlash for the Canadian government
Made it
illegal, like it made it illegal or legal, or I can't remember the what happened, that he has to call people by the pronouns they choose, and he's like, no, man, that's I'll respect you. If you ask me to, I'll respect that and I'll do it, but don't make that a mandate, because that stifles free speech and ideas.
Yeah,
because that's a point of contention.
I was actually having that conversation with a friend of mine very recently, and I was like, I mean, it sounds like the precursor to every conversation to be in the woke era, but I've had gay friends since I was a teenager. And I'm 40, so I don't have a bigotry of that thing at all. That concept of my sexuality is not yours, blah blah blah. You do your own thing, man. No, I don't care. I don't have any bias in that. But at the same time, my attitude is, you have no more right to expect me to adhere to your preferred language, names, titles, and everything else than I have to expect good manners.
Yeah.
You don't get to tell me how to behave.
Yeah.
You would like our conversations and interaction to go civilly and these terms.
Yeah. That's totally cool.
And
right?
if it doesn't happen because I've got good manners and someone I bump into in the high street is an asshole. Yeah. Okay, unfortunate, but we carry on with our lives.
Exactly. You don't go to jail for it.
Yeah, you don't.
You don't go to jail for being an asshole.
Yeah, if you did, we'd have no politicians.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean. You don't get to grab me by the collar and go, "Excuse me, here's everything I want from life. Stick to that."
Yeah.
But that's not real life. You can't do that.
Yeah.
If you want to live a life free of discrimination, with freedom of speech, and everyone to be happy and self-fulfilled, you have to go, okay, here's how I'm going to be. You be you, and if we get on, we're great. All good. And if we don't, again, all good. You do you, I'll do me.
Exactly.
I have no interest in making someone live by my life, how I see things. If I did, I wouldn't have got married.
Yeah.
The very definition of being in a relationship, as you are, is compromise.
Yeah.
I want to live this way. Well, your spouse disagrees. I want to paint the inside of the living room this color. Yeah. Oh shit, she doesn't. It changes.
Yeah.
You make that, but that has to be how we get on to be civil.
Yeah.
I think
and the point you made on, like, yes, you don't have any bigotry to it, and that's that's also my case as well. Like I'm very, very pro sort of equality of when it comes to like gay rights and gay marriage. I'm very pro that, because there's something very deep to how my best friend's two sisters are gay, and one of them is going through a transition to switch her gender.
Okay.
And she's a he now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
like it's done.
Yeah.
The transition is almost done, and he's a he. So I'm very pro that equality and the rights to change legislation to have those rights in there.
Sure.
Right, but the conversation still needs to be open and allow for conflicting opinions.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's one thing that I think is very dangerous. I think it's used to mask a lot of prejudice, but also a lot of vulnerability.
Yeah.
The idea of, no, we're only going to say these words
Yeah.
or have these things said. Like, but why? Especially now with hyper-aggression, being the way that media tends to go. It's not like a conversation. It's one end of other end of a spectrum. It's extreme this or extreme that.
Yeah.
But why can't we have the conversation?
Yeah.
Talking is not the problem.
Yeah.
It's the bias that prevents the talking.
Yes, exactly.
It's the idea that maybe you think this should be the case because of your own vulnerabilities, and fine. Most people actually, regardless of what you think, aren't going to go out of their way to upset you.
Yeah.
But you telling them they can't talk, they can't think, they can't behave in a different way is the problem.
Yeah.
I don't wish to make anyone's life unhappy. But at the same time, we're going to have a problem if you come up to me and go, hey, here's what you're going to call me, say this, act like this.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
For the very act like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
You trying to tell me is going to make me go, no.
And there's a big distinction of, so I think, for the listeners, the you, right? The you trying to tell me, like, if you as a person tells me, hey, I would like you to call me this, fine.
Sure, no problem.
But you as a government,
absolutely.
if you mandate that and tell me I'm going to go to jail and punish you if you don't, that's not good.
No, not at all. I mean, like I say, if someone comes up to me and goes, hey, 6 months ago I was Brian, now I'm Bethany. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. If for no other reason, then I don't know you enough to care how you live your life.
Yeah.
If you come to me and go, I've changed my gender, stop being a personal trainer. Why? That I would go, I'd scratch my head and go, that those things don't compute. Hi, I want to be called this now. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And go about your life. But be happy in who you are. Don't try and make someone else's life miserable or make them more vulnerable to oppression.
Yeah.
In terms of everything, when it comes to physicality, self-image, behavior, and the move on, the progression from that is people now, I think, although you probably wouldn't voice it, are afraid to be what we talked about body image and conversation and how you've got people to show themselves who they are. Is people are afraid to be who they are or to talk and ask questions and have a conversation, because if you open your mouth and the louder voice is the one who goes, you can't talk about this with me, you're an anti this, you're the bully, you're the bad person. Everyone's going to jump on that point, because at the moment the popular sort of social tactic is, I want to be the person who points out how bad someone else is all of the time. There's a professor in the UK now who's just resigned her job because, and I'm, for the sake of not getting this grief myself, I'm not going to highlight the point, but she basically pointed out the difference between biological genders versus anything that's not the biological gender you were born into. And that was all she did. And then she's very well known for being completely unprejudiced and unbiased. She was alluding to a point of biological fact. And a small group of 16 students, or 16 or so students, decided that was so horrific a concept that you could be accurate in terms of biology. They started a program of abuse and harassment that was so bad, she's quit a job. Someone who's been in academia her entire life, from student to teacher to professor, has been hounded out of making a living. Because she's like...
Because she presented like well-researched scientific facts.
And she wanted to have a conversation about that and why people perceived it as not necessarily being the case. And it wasn't a case of, like you said, let's have a conversation. It was, no, how could you possibly be? And the students involved weren't all in the categories that you would think would have an issue. They perceived themselves to be the righteous ones defending those people. It was a case of, no, they're vulnerable. They can't speak up for themselves. We're going to do it for them. And we're going to attack you and make your life a misery and harass you and blah, blah, blah. And I think it's a sorry state of affairs, because the world that you and I grew up in when we were younger was, you be you, I'll be me. And guess what? We won't be completely identical in preferences and choices, but we can get on. that's what being an adult is.
Yeah.
It's the children,
Yeah.
the ones who aren't completely mature yet, who
Yeah.
go, no, you must think like me,
Yeah.
or you're a bad guy,
Yeah.
and we're going to come to blows. It's meant to be when you get older, you go, yeah, okay, you think this about something else. Do your thing, man.
It's also it's privilege, right? So like
Yes.
when you grow up with privilege, and when you don't grow up with big problems like war and economic issues, and you have more you have more to think about, more time to think about.
You feel all those
exactly
that deep emotion with things that aren't
Exactly.
worthy of deep emotion.
Yeah, I mean it's not to say, like, I don't think me and you are here to judge what's okay to feel and not okay to feel, but it's just the fact that, like, when you don't have the basics of, like, let's say, water, running water, electricity, food,
Sure.
roof on your head, that's all you need to think about right now
Yeah,
to get through
absolutely.
life.
Yeah.
When you have that, then you start thinking about education. When you have that education, then you start to think about comfort and luxury and all
Sure,
that
yeah,
stuff. When
yeah.
you have that, then you start to think about, like, feelings,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
which is again, it's not wrong, it just is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, no one who works manual labor in what could be called a third world country gives a shit about your gender politics.
Yeah.
Like, no, I wake up as the sun comes up. I work hard outside on a farm all day, and I go to bed when it gets dark, 7 days a week, because that's my life.
Yeah.
I don't care what you call yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, that's something that's,
Yeah,
they say, it's so far out of their world.
Yeah.
It's only when you start to go, hey, I've got time to ponder this today,
Yeah.
and you get strong opinions on it. I mean, there are times where that's going to be a positive,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of times, especially in modern life, where people are going, let's really get aggravated about this topic. And you go, but you know what? Before you got aggravated, things weren't that bad in the first place.
Yeah.
Universities were a place for conversation.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason they exist.
Yeah.
Is to elevate human thinking.
Exactly. Now they've become a place of mandate by whoever's louder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It literally is. In some cases, it's just volume. Like the people that protest at Jordan Peterson's rallies is squeaking off air horns. So if you could talk to him, he would talk to you.
Yeah.
If you could form an intelligent conversation, I'm sure he would talk to you about why do you think I'm an oppressive personality?
Yeah.
But they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I forget the guy's name now. He's a American comedian. I think he contributes to SNL. Where he was talking about the internet. And he's like, you've got this one resource that has everything ever thought, done, and said by human beings. Yeah. And has it made us any more intelligent? No. It's made us dumber.
Yeah.
It's like anybody who sits down with a phone or a laptop has got access to humanity's entire culture,
knowledge
and
base,
development and knowledge base.
Yeah.
And look what we've fallen to. And it's a very real point. It really is when it comes
it's
to
pretty funny,
how we treat each other and how we behave and everything else. You think if we broke away from all that and said, you 100 people go and live in a village over there, you go and live over here, how quickly we forget all the so-called grievances we have.
Yeah, and if you made it harder to access information, where, like, if you want to have an intelligent conversation about something, you got to go to the library
across town,
across town, and read about it.
Sure.
And then you can have the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Instead of somebody that shares your opinion, tweets angrily, and you and you're like, yeah, this guy tweeted about that. It must be true.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think this person's intelligent. Why? Because you like the words they use on Twitter? Doesn't really, that's not the gauge for intelligence.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if you've got the loudest voice because you've got the budget for advertising, you end up with the influence. It's not necessarily the best thing in the world to talk about. But
I don't know how we ended up here.
No, I think we went from vulnerability and just went from there.
Yesterday, somebody asked me on this panel, what advice would you? It was a panel on Dubai Active. So
okay,
and it was funny. It's funny that I said that in that context. So, like, I walked in and it's like muscle this, and everybody's got this ripped bodies and like protein, and oh man, it was just like this testosterone filled event. And it was one of those events where it was in the Trade Center.
Yes,
huge, packed, and everybody is jacked. So I'm on this panel talking about accepting your body for who you are. So it's really funny, yeah. So someone asked me, it's like, what would you give, advice you would give your younger self? And I said, and it's blasting on the speaker so everybody can hear, like all the people that are working out and at the gym. I'm like, I would tell myself that you don't need the body to get the girl.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't obsessing about my body and trying to be a bodybuilder and get jacked to impress everybody else, I would not have hurt my back and have a herniated disc right now.
There we go. Yeah.
And I would have been able to. I mean, I can't play sports anymore. I was sportsman of the year in my high school 4 years in a row. I can't play sports anymore. I can't play contact sports
Because of what you did.
because of what I did in the pursuit of trying to look good.
Yeah.
So, I can't play basketball, I can't play football. The only thing I can do is swim because that's not contact sports.
Supports your body weight.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't run. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It might be a limiting belief. I was just talking to a few people recently on I was on a TED talk and there's a woman named Dareen where she ran a marathon, but she's lost a limb.
Yes. Yeah.
So that could be very much a limiting belief that I have, that I can't do those things. Where this person with one leg ran a marathon, what am I complaining about?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it's all those things where it's hard to get your head around, but one step at a time. Maybe for me, my milestones might be quit smoking first.
Sure.
Let's do that first, and then let's see what happens from there.
Waleed, social media, website, emails, anything you want to plug?
Yeah,
Go for your life, buddy.
Yeah, it's Instagram is Waleed Shah. Website is waleedshah.ae. AE because we're in the United Arab Emirates. And I'm not really active on Twitter, but if you want to be there, it's Waleed Shah Photo. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Cool. Thanks very much, buddy. And I'll speak to you in the future.